Hi everyone, it's Mimi. Welcome to another video on my YouTube channel. Today I'll be showing you how to create this very simple lemonade tumbler using the Tack-It method and a coordinating ice topper lid, which is an easy way to dress up this otherwise clean and simple design. This tumbler screams summer is here and is quite easy to make. So if you want to see how I created this tumbler and topper, let's get started. I have a 20-ounce modern curved tumbler from Stainless Depot that I've already prepped and base painted yellow using Party Yellow from Montana. I'll be using Aleene's Tack It Over and Over to apply my glitter. In this bottle, I have a 50-50 mix of the glue and water. I'll also be using a soft bristle brush. This one is a Mod Podge brush, but any brush you have will work. For my glitter, I'll be using Yellow Brick Road from BJ's to start, and then decide to add another color later on. The main trick to getting a good Tack-It application is to use long, even strokes with your brush. And, of course, applying thin coats. As you see, the adhesive goes on white, but will turn clear once it's dry. I always do 2 coats to make sure I haven't missed any spots before adding any glitter, and you do want to let each coat dry thoroughly before moving on. I also do pay close attention to the top and bottom rims with this adhesive. Here I am just testing the tackiness before going into my second coat. Also, you can see that the glue has dried since it's no longer white. I'll continue to add my second coat and wait for it to fully dry, which usually takes about 15 to 20 minutes. You can also use a heat gun to speed up the drying process. The Tack-It method works best with fine glitters, but it can be done with larger cuts. Now that my cup is dry and tacky to the touch, I'll sprinkle my glitter all over the cup, making sure to tap off any of the excess as I move along. You want to make sure to get full coverage of this glitter and not leave any bald spots. As I get closer to the upper third of the cup, I decided to add another glitter, so I'm preparing the edge where my glitter ends to blend into the other color. To do this, I'm holding my cup in a downward angle and gently sprinkling the glitter onto my cup. I then grabbed yellow diamonds from BJ's, which is an extremely pale shade of yellow, to achieve this look. Adding this color not only adds some interest and dimension, but I wanted to somewhat replicate a glass of lemonade where it'll be lighter towards the top where the ice sits. Now that my tumbler is fully covered, this is where the magic happens. Using a gloved hand, I'm going to start burnishing the glitter into the dried glue. I work in a small section and rub in a circular motion. Look how beautiful that shine is. Now go ahead and do this all around the cup until all the glitter is burnished into the adhesive. Once you're done burnishing the entire cup, go ahead and tap off any excess and then discard the glitter that has fallen off. There's no need to seal the glitter, and you can go straight into a layer of epoxy. Here's my tumbler after 2 thin coats of KS Resin's Liquidy Split. We'll set that aside and get started on the ice topper lid. This is the lid for my 20-ounce tumbler, and first we want to remove the slider tab. Turn the lid over and take these 2 prongs holding it in place and squeeze them together, and it pops right out. I'll then take some painter's tape and cover up those slits so we can seal them with epoxy. I'll also remove this rubber piece temporarily so I don't get any resin on it as I'm working on the lid. These are the materials I'll be using to create my topper. I'm using these vase fillers from Michaels. Also, I'll be using one of these artificial lemons, and for my base, these acrylic ice cubes. The ones I'm using are a little over 3/4 of an inch. I'll be using UV resin as my adhesive, and I also have a UV torch and a UV lamp. I'm dry fitting my ice cubes and playing around with placement. Once I was mostly satisfied of how everything was going to lay out, I took everything off and started trying to adhere everything to the base. I did jump the gun a little bit, and after using my UV resin and then trying to use the torch to cure it, placing these 2 ice cubes, I realized that I hadn't sealed the openings that I had previously taped off. Luckily, the resin hadn't cured yet, so I went ahead and pulled the cubes off and then sealed the openings by using the same UV resin, but I switched over to my UV lamp instead. You'll also notice a piece of foil that's underneath my lid, and this is to help cure the resin faster when using the UV lamp or torch. I saw this trick on Christie's Custom Creations when she created her topper several videos back. The silicone tool that you see me using right here, I'm just poking at the resin to see if it had fully cured. Since it hadn't, I went ahead and placed my lamp back on it until everything was nice and cured. I'll only be showing you the beginning of creating the ice topper since the process is exactly the same throughout. It'll be up to you on how high you want your finished topper to be. Just keep building until you're happy with the way that it looks. After doing this using the UV resin as my adhesive, I think I will be switching over to either hot glue or some other type of adhesive to lay these pieces down. I found that it was really time consuming because except for this first layer that you're adhering directly to the cup, all the other layers you kind of have to do 1 or 2 cubes at a time and then put the lamp over it, let it cure. So it's just a tedious process to go through. And since I'll be sealing everything with a thin coat of resin on top of it anyway, I think a hot glue gun is a better route to go because you get that instant bond. But I encourage you to use any method that you're comfortable with. This is just my thought process as I did this for the first time. So I'm going to go ahead and turn on some music, let you guys watch the process, and I will be back when we are ready to move on to the next step. So I set aside my lid for just a moment because I wanted to add these water slides onto my tumbler. These are just some lemon images that I found online, and I went ahead and printed them onto some clear inkjet water slide paper and then did triple seal them with Rust-Oleum's gloss clear spray. Once that is fully dry, I went ahead and just took a pair of scissors and roughly cut them out. And now I'm just wetting the tumbler down so that it has a slick surface to adhere to. You want to have them soaking in your bowl of water for about 30 seconds or so. It just depends on the brand of water slide that you use, but you'll know that it's ready when the backing paper starts lifting away from the water slide. So I just placed one of them on my cup. I'm using a dry paper towel to smooth out any of the bubbles and try to get the moisture out from underneath the water slide. I will do a more in-depth tutorial on how to use water slides on your tumblers in a future video. So I'm just going to continue to place these images. I have no rhyme or reason. I'm just placing them wherever I think they would look good all around the tumbler. And because it's going on a yellow base, you'll notice that it is a very subtle detail, and that's exactly what I wanted. I'm also using my silicone tool to get out any of the water underneath the water slide as well. And it does a really good job basically squeegeeing out all the water underneath. I'll continue to go ahead and place all these images onto my tumbler. How many you do is totally up to you. Whatever is pleasing to the look that you're going for or how you feel the tumbler should look, it is completely up to you. So I'll finish doing that. I'll make sure to get off any of the extra water that's on the cup when I'm fully done. And then I will set this off to the side and let it dry for about an hour or so. You can speed it up using a heat tool or a blow dryer. Just make sure not to keep the heat directly onto the water slide for too long. So here I have my completed topper, and I did go a little crazy, but it was just like addictive. You just don't know when to stop. So now that everything's done, I went ahead and taped off the outer ridge of the lid so that none of this epoxy would cure on it. And then now I have about, I would say, 10 mLs of liquidy split, and I'm going to drizzle it in between all the nooks and crannies of where the ice cubes are to basically seal everything in and make sure that there are no holes or empty areas where any moisture can get in, especially when you're washing this topper. I also did cut up a silicone straw and I placed it in where the mouth area goes so that it doesn't get any epoxy on it. I learned this trick from numerous different tumbler makers. It's a great trick to have when you're trying to keep things out of any of the openings. So now I'm just going to go around and try to wipe up as much as I can, keep it clean, and just going to continue to add the epoxy until everything is fully covered. I do also go in with my finger and kind of smooth everything out so that everything is fully covered. And I also do put the epoxy on top of the lemon wedge. Make sure to take your time doing this. I know that I'm using a fast setting epoxy, but still you have enough time to make sure that all the little spaces are covered and that it's going to protect everything that's on the lid. So I will continue to place my epoxy all over the lid. I'll then set it aside to cure, then remove the tape and the straw, and it'll be ready to go. While the lid was curing, I did decide to add a decal onto the front of my cup, and I did 2 final coats of epoxy, and then we were all done. And here's a look at the finished tumbler and topper. I love the way it came out, and it's definitely a summer must-have. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial and give this design a try. Feel free to reach out if you have any questions. If you like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Thanks so much for watching. I so appreciate you being here, and until next time, bye.